Okay. Hi, my name is Heather Kimbley.
And I am Dr. Daniel Kimbley.
And we have a 2.5-year-old daughter, Coco, and we live in Dana Point, California.
Yay. So my first question for you is, how did you hear about hypnobirthing?
So we come from a world that is more of like a holistic approach in general. Daniel is a chiropractor, so we had known about hypnobirthing for years from past families while attending chiropractic school, and chiropractors, literally generations, have been using hypnobirthing, and we kind of just knew that it was something we wanted to do. So we were searching around Orange County for providers and found you.
Yay. I know. And I still remember coming into the office for the first time to meet you guys. And I was immediately like, oh, these people are so special. So what did you think about the class going into it and throughout the series?
So the class specifically, I thought was really wonderful because there was a lot of information that was sharing from all spectrums. So it wasn't like a one size fit all. You could really tailor every little thing to how you were birthing specifically, which I found most beneficial because we decided to do a home birth and water birth. So it was a little different than what others may think of for their birthing experience. And so I really loved the opportunity to be able to use some of the tools and techniques that were specific to how I function. I guess I have a very analytical brain. So a lot of like the number sequencing things were really important for me, which I love to be able to get my body in that like Zen and hypno state. Anything you want to share from?
Yeah, I would say, so going in, I had no idea what to expect. I just knew that it was going to be something that was going to help Heather since we were doing very natural birth. And so I just wanted to be supportive. And I will say, like, doing it was one of the most fun processes, like, of all the birthing stuff that we did. Like, yeah, the night of the birth was amazing, but there's so much anticipation and you don't know what to expect. At least we didn't, like, we never, you know, and like you can read all the books and whatever, but I feel like one of the coolest things is like going from this, I wasn't sure, like, was it going to be cheesy? We're going to do like weird breathing exercises. Like, you don't really know. I didn't know what to expect. But I think it was cool in the way that like the whole thing, and I think it's so important for us, is like the empowerment that women get, I think was the coolest thing that I took away from it, because I see, like, obviously I'm a health practitioner myself. So I see so many women who are their powers taken away by someone else. And I do truly believe that all of us, like especially women, have the ability to have the birth that they want to have, regardless of what anybody says. And so that decision is that woman's decision. However, within that, I feel like just empowering to be like whatever you want it to be, whatever you want your dream birth to be, that's what it can be. And that was one of the coolest things to see, is like there's so many different strategies and so many different ways to support, regardless of whether you want to do a home birth or whether you want to do a natural birth in a hospital or whether you want to have an epidural or like whatever the process is for you. It was really cool to see like the support there, and Nicolle to give all the tools to allow that stuff to happen the way you want it to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, love that. Okay, walk us through Coco's birthing day. Tell me how the labor went. Tell us that story.
Sure. So I woke up at like 3-ish in the morning and was feeling a little crampy, if you will. And so I just kind of was like going on with my day. And Daniel normally wakes up around like 4:30 every day to do his like morning routines. I know, right? Crazy. So I just like was sharing with him, like, I'm feeling some things, not sure, like, go on with your day. So I literally, the first several hours, I was just like hanging out at home. I wasn't really experiencing much. And then by the time like midday came around, when I really started to become into active labor, my active labor in total was less than 12 hours, which I know for a fact hypnobirthing helped with that, to allow me to be calm and relaxed for that. So we called our doula, and our doula was actually very well versed in hypnobirthing as well, which was wonderful for us too. She was able to help cue when Daniel was also in the thick of it. So the first, I don't know, like 5 or 6 hours, it was just kind of working on my breathing, focusing on just allowing my body to relax the way it was naturally designed to, focusing on being able to listen to my body and listen to Coco at the time, and just kind of like let her do her thing. And I really was able to hone in on my breathing, which I think really allowed my like pelvic floor to relax naturally and appropriately. I had back labor. She had a Nicolle Kasch as she was coming out. So I wasn't really experiencing anything in my belly. So all of my waves were in my sacral area. So it was really important for Daniel to get into certain positions to help support me there. And we used a lot of the techniques that we also learned in hypnobirthing. So he had already kind of positioned himself already in those positions, like with squeezing the sacrum and things like that. So that was really beneficial because he already had tried those techniques out, which was really great. So eventually our midwife came around like 6 o'clock at night, and I got in the water and just kind of labored in there as well. I really am a numbers person, so focusing on counting my breaths, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, was so beneficial for me. It allowed my mind to just stray away from something else that was happening in my body, and just allowed me to be calm and relax. Do you want to talk about your perspective during that?
Yeah, I mean, my only thing that I would add that I thought was super cool from some of the strategies that you taught is like, Nicolle, I remember, I'm pretty sure it was early on, you're like, set up a space that's like a kind of like, it's not a shrine, but like set up your birthing space. So you have like an area that you can just kind of go to, right? That has your stuff in it, whatever it is. So Heather and I had set that up, and it was really interesting because when our doula got here, she could kind of tell that there was like a little bit of this like resistance with Heather as she really started to get into laboring. And so our doula was like, hey, come over here. So she literally moves the ball and she puts Heather's arms so they're like resting on this space that we had set up, like our pictures and affirmations. And there was some other stuff, like we had some Palo Santo and some sage and some other stuff there that was really, you know, mattered to us. And as soon as she moved to that space, it was cool to see Heather go like a level deeper, where you could just see that like the connection with Coco is deeper, that she was more in tune with her body, and things just started. And then that's when I remember like getting out the phone and I'm like timing each wave as they were coming through and all those things. So it was cool, like just some of those things that people don't think about. They're just like, oh yeah, I'll just like wherever the babe comes is where they come. And it's like more intentional about it and have really good outcomes as a result. And I feel like some of those like seemingly so subtle and so simple are probably the most profound things that I think we got from the whole, and there's other stuff I'll talk about, but that's kind of that, like from the birthing perspective. That's what I would say. My perspective was really cool to watch that go down.
Yeah, that's so neat. So then what happened?
So we were nearing the point of pushing eventually. I found myself just laying in the tub. Daniel was just holding me and I'm just like hanging out, floating essentially. I was literally just floating, just like hanging on to him, and then just allowing my body to naturally go through the waves. It was very comfortable, as comfortable could be, I guess you could say. So yeah. When it came time to pushing, the birth breathing was really important for me because I wanted to obviously make sure that, one, I didn't tear, and two, I was continuing to still listen to Coco as she was kind of guiding me through what my body needed. She came out fairly quickly, I guess you could say, 30-ish minutes. And it was so funny. As soon as she came out, I was holding her, and probably like 5 minutes passed. Our midwife was like, do you want to know the sex of the baby? We had no idea. We were just kind of like in awe of the whole experience and just in present with everything. And I was like, oh yeah, we should probably know that. So It was a very
Oh,
magical experience. I wouldn't say one thing was bad about it. I like literally had such a very comforting and zen time the whole experience. And I remember during your hypnobirthing classes, you asked us to say one word that we wanted to describe for our pregnancy and birth. And Daniel and I, our word was very different than most of the other people. And we chose the word primal. And
oh,
I
wow.
can 100% say that our birth
It's
was
primal.
so primal in such a loving and nurturing way.
Yeah, I love that. I do remember that you guys had that word, and it's funny because most people pick like calm or tranquil.
Exactly.
Because when we think of primal, we think of like almost out of control, but really that's like such a testament to the fact that your body knows exactly what to do, and we just need to get out of the way. So I love that word. What a great birth word.
Yes.
Was there one like favorite tool or technique or aspect of hypnobirthing that either one of you had, like one that stood out the most?
So I think I mentioned that I'm like a very analytical brain. So the counting the breaths was really
Mm,
the biggest tool for me, being able to focus on the breathing with numbers.
mhm.
I know that I also at one point, and when we were like practicing and we're doing like our perineal prep, I also used all of my hypnobirthing techniques to see kind of like where my body was relaxing most, what was most beneficial for both of us as we were like trying to decipher through everything. I just kept coming back to numbers. So I remember like the thermometer was really big with me, the counting of the breaths, and then the visualization of the flower at toward the descending, with pushing her out was also really big, just allowing me to like know that everything was expanding.
Yeah, love it. Daniel, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I get super passionate about this. I share with all of the mamas that we take care of. And this is not hypnobirthing specific, but the perineal massage. And so the reason, so like anybody could teach that, right? And like you can find that online. But I think the important part that you really drove home for us, especially for me, is like the more in tune that I can be with Heather while she's going through this process and she's going through it with Coco. Like I could look at her face, I'm like tearing up talking about it because I'm so passionate about it. I could like connect with her in such a deep way that because we did that perineal massage, like we had this connection where I knew like, okay, babe, like just relax a little bit or like take another breath or whatever she needed to do. But if it weren't for you sharing that, and I think it's so important because not only does it get help her experience kind of what those sensations will be like, but it really allows like the mom and the dad to just connect in those moments instead of me feeling like I don't really know what to do. I'm just kind of like a fly on the wall. And so it put me as like such a part of the process with Heather that I think it made our connection tighter, but it made it before Coco was ever here as well.
Mhm.
And so that perineal massage piece of you sharing that, and then like how, and not, and like I said, not just the massage part of it, but like how important it is to be able to connect so deeply so that you don't even have to speak any words and you're like, okay, she's tightening up right now. And that process when we did that for those last few weeks before Coco was here is like integral to everything else that's happened since as parents.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing that. I love that so much. That's so
Yeah.
sweet. Any final thoughts that you would like to share about your experience?
About our birth experience.
Yeah, or your experience with hypnobirthing?
With hypnobirthing. Yes. So I think that obviously there are so many different like childbirth classes you can take, and you have to choose what works right for you. But I think having an open mind and being willing to learn more about your own body, about your child that's in womb, the whole pregnancy and birth experience, I think was really informative. It's not just a one perspective for pregnancy and birth. I think hypnobirthing in general provides so many opportunities to be able to use in any aspect. And the hands-on training was so beneficial for us. We are like extreme and consistent with things, and we practiced all the time.
Oh, I believe it.
We had so many resources from the hypnobirthing class. We were able to like try all of these different things over those weeks to figure out what worked best for us. And I know that there are lots of other classes that only provide like one specific way of doing things.
Yeah.
So I think being open to trying out new things and seeing that you're not a one size fit all person, nobody is, that I think hypnobirthing really offers many opportunities for everyone.
Yeah. Well, great. Well, thank you guys so much for sharing all of that. You're amazing. And I was so happy to have you guys in my class. Of course, Heather, you're super lucky to have like, you know, one of the best chiropractors as your birth partner. So not everybody's that lucky, but you definitely lucked out as far as that goes. Or it's actually not luck, you chose it intentionally. But
I did introduce him to chiropractic, so yes.
I know.
It's all by design. She's like, how can I marry a chiropractor?
Yeah.
Make him go to school.
Yeah, I'll find somebody and then make him go. Well, thank you guys so much.
Our pleasure. Happy to support.
Thanks, Nicolle.
Thank you.